Uh-oh, it's magic when I'm with you. I don't know.
What the fuck was that?
I'm doing whatever the hell the singer did.
I don't even want to know.
So, onward!
Onward to adventure!
Let's switch it into
So,
D, but still. Anyway, welcome back to StillerBros at the Movies. It's still a bit of a slow time, so let's talk a bit about Pixar's latest offering, Onward.
about, 4 years ago, at D23, they announced this movie from the director of Monsters University, Dan Scanlon, who made, with Monsters University, it was a perfectly serviceable, good, not great prequel to Monsters, Inc.
See, the idea of giving the guy who directed Monsters University an original project seems kind of interesting. It seems kind of good because it seems like a good idea. Not great, but a good idea because Monsters University was not a terrible prequel. It wasn't certainly not the worst follow-up to Pixar's ever made.
It's definitely not Pixar's worst movie, and it's definitely not Pixar's worst movie. But
and plus giving him an original, and plus giving him an original idea, it's a good idea because the first movie he made money, so why not?
And this particular movie is especially original and close to him because it is based somewhat on his real life.
So we should also bring up that the gimmick of this movie also kind of is already been used, but in way worse form.
Yes.
Bright exists as another universe where we are living in a fantasy world, where the characters live in a fantasy world, where the fantasy world was allowed to grow beyond medieval times.
Yes.
So, excuse me. Anyway, hey, but Bright sucked.
Yes.
So
and it was written by a rapist who come tomorrow is going to be a failed screenwriting consultant.
So, but that's not the whole point of it. The fact is, I'm pretty sure when Bright was coming out, Disney was like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And then they saw the reviews and they were like, "Oh, nothing.
We're fine."
Okay, sorry. Okay, well, thanks for slowing us down for a minute. Get back to work. But yeah, Onward, a movie where we're in a medieval fantasy world, where we're in a fantasy world that was allowed to grow beyond the medieval age.
We have a pretty stacked cast for this, with Tom Holland and Chris Pratt taking on the lead roles.
Louis-Dreyfus returning to Pixar after A Bug's Life, joining Bonnie Hunt as in the Bug's Life cast member who went on to play multiple roles throughout Pixar movies.
And Octavia Spencer playing a somewhat supporting role. We don't know much about the
Apparently it's big enough that it justified announcing her along with everybody else when they announced the cast and title of this movie.
Yeah, but they have those 4 name actors, and this looks very interesting, especially from a very when it's clearly got this very heartfelt message behind it.
So, the plot is, basically it's a road trip movie set in a fantasy world. Why do I keep saying medieval? Maybe because it's so
grained together that you don't think about it.
But it's a road trip brother movie set in a fantasy world, with the idea that these brothers were basically grew up without a dad, and they just basically didn't, and nothing terrible happened because of it. They didn't struggle or anything. But
no, their dad just died when they were really young, and they didn't get a chance to know him or anything.
And now with the long dormant magic of this world, they've got a chance to bring him back. Except when they try bringing him back, instead of actually bringing him all the way back, he just ends up doing his best Matt Smith impression. And so the whole idea is just let's go on a road trip to bring Dad's head back.
Yeah. So obviously it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, a movie about brothers is going to be hit very close to home for us.
There's a whole thing. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt have already proved to have some kind of chemistry in what little time they had together in the Adventures movies.
Mostly just the lines of like Footloose, epic dance off to the fate of the galaxy, like Footloose.
Exactly like Footloose. Is it still the greatest movie ever made?
It never was. And that is all the dialogue they ever shared in Avengers.
So to have these two actually get a whole movie together, that's going to be something. Dan Scanlon is writing it as well as directing it, and we got music by the brother duo that created the music for The Good Dinosaur.
Yes.
Which was probably one of the best parts of The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah. And obviously it's Pixar, so we can expect some top-notch animation, some very interesting world building,
and some emotional gut punches.
Yes, because we have cried at the last. Let's see. 4 Pixar movies we've seen. We did not cry in Incredibles 2, but we weren't supposed to cry in Incredibles 2.
Yeah, there's no cry moments in Incredibles 2. There's cry moments in Toy Story 4 and Inside Out and shit.
And Coco and Good Dinosaur.
But not in Incredibles 2. But so what are we? So is there going to be cry moments? Of course there are.
It's about 2 brothers going on a search to bring their dead dad back for one day.
There's gonna be cry moments.
I cried at the fucking trailer for this.
So yeah, I don't even need to, and also since it's Pixar, we don't even need to hope it's good. Even the worst Pixar movies have creative designs,
have something,
fantastic animation and everything else.
The worst Pixar movie still has something of merit that it deserves to exist for.
So to say that we haven't been excited for this is an understatement, because it's a Pixar movie. Of course we're excited.
However, it may not be the best Pixar movie of the year. We'll see what happens.
Because for the second time, there are 2 Pixar movies coming out in a year.
We have 3 months from now when Pete Docter, who has never failed to make us cry in a Pixar movie, will be putting out a movie about the human soul.
So that's gonna have a lot to go off of. So, I think we've pretty much gone through everything we can right now off of our usual rambling the IMDb trivia list as we've memorized it. So, we will see you guys after the jump.
Alright, so...
Yeah, Pixar did it again.
Yeah, they fucking did it again. Twice.
So...
Or like maybe 3 times, depending on how you count.
But, Onward is good. It's that good. It's good.
It's good. It's really good. It's not Pixar's best. It might be mid-tier.
But but considering the studio's track record, it's still a really fantastic movie by most. It's better than a lot. Mid-tier Pixar is a lot better than high-tier some other studios.
Yeah, there's a lot of animation studios that wish that their mid-tier movies were as good as that their high-tier movies were as good as Pixar's mid-tier movies.
So let's talk about it. The chemistry between Tom Holland and Chris Pratt is fantastic. The characters go together so well, and it's just great. And we're just gonna ignore the fact that Tom Holland did 2 animated movies within the span of a year where the characters look exactly the same.
But Tom Holland kicked ass in this.
It's essentially something that it says that Tom Holland fits right into this role. No one was going to get that, but Chris Pratt basically doing his best Jack Black impression for most of this movie. It's pretty good. It's pretty good on that.
And this is kind of this movie is kind of a big deal for this, because if you know these 2 actors, their dads are a big deal to them. Like, Tom Holland credits his dad with keeping him humble, his dad and his brothers, so that's a double big one for him. Whereas Chris Pratt his dad passed away before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, so this movie is personal for him as well.
But it's just great that these characters are just fit them so well, and the camaraderie between the 2 characters is great. You look at these 2 out promoting the movie, and it's like, yeah, they really are working. They're really working the angle that the 2 of them got to really are really friends now because of this.
Yeah.
Octavia Spencer and Julia Louis-Dreyfus go off on their own little subplot tangent, and they're pretty funny together. It's fun.
Yeah.
And and I think the setting is a big deal because is a big part of this because other than a few gags, it's kind of not that big a deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't focus on a lot of things. It's kind of weird that Marvin Gaye still exists in this universe, but whatever.
That's the one pop culture thing that they can. But we'll let him get away with it because nobody was taking their Shrek-looking ass back to their vehicle to go home to Fiona.
So we'll give it that because it's like okay, Marvin Gaye we can accept. We have to just don't go just saying
that you're having the Mexican police officer saying he's still getting shit for the Alamo.
No, just. And also, I loved that there were so many references to D&D and The Hobbit. There's literally a whole restaurant in this universe that is a reference to The Hobbit with a sign on the outside that says it has a second breakfast. And it's like, I understood that reference.
A lot of kids probably wouldn't understand that reference, but we understood that reference.
And then the whole thing is based on D&D is basically a D&D campaign. Literal, to the point that Chris Pratt's character literally keeps saying, this is basically like a campaign in my game. This is like a campaign in my game. In my game, it's like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, we're huge nerds. If you watch enough of these videos, you need to know we are huge nerds.
Yeah.
So D&D is one of those things we never got too deep into, but we understand the lore. We've played a few rounds. We know what we're talking.
Yeah.
So we know what we're talking about when we say this stuff is fun. That the references to Dungeons and Dragons is fun in this.
Yeah, it's fun to get that. There's points where you do the Steve Rogers. I understood that reference.
So that's great. The music by the Dana brothers is really good. It weirdly changes between epic fantasy stuff to fun slice of life music to even occasionally a little epic western stuff like they did with The Good Dinosaur, but not as anachronistic where it's like, why is it a western?
And the emotional beats just hit to your core.
And I think that really speaks to the writing because the writing really builds on the relationships to the point that when the emotional beats are hitting, it's like, okay, I care about these characters, so that's why I feel the way I do about this.
It's such a big deal. Like we get to the ending and it's executed beautifully, and yeah, it's kind of cheesy to get to that point, but when you get there, and you kind of can see it coming, but when you get there, it's a moment that it's just gonna, to the point that the Brandy Clark song that plays over the credits, the Brandy Carlisle song that plays over the credits, God.
Even as upbeat and catchy a song it's not. It actually gives you some secondhand feelings from earlier in the movie.
Yeah, it's because you just got through this emotional adventure with these characters, and you got to this point with them, and
then the song comes on, and it reminds you of, and it's basically summing up the journey, the relationship between the characters, and everything like that. And it's just a great song.
Yeah.
And then I need to compliment the animators of Pixar and everything because there are so many details in this. So many little visual puns, like a vending machine that says Mountain Doom on it, or the sweat on Ian when he's asking a bunch of people to come to his birthday party, or the
fibers on a shirt, the hair on their heads, the title card. They're just freaking showing off
because the title card is over shown over dust particles.
Dust particles floating in sunlight. Like 25 years ago, when they were made Toy Story, they never would have been able to make that.
And now they're doing a movie where they they're doing a movie where they basically have to make realistic skin, hair, dust particles, all that stuff in a movie that basically shows off a bunch of characters that, while not technically human-like enough that you have to care about them, that you have to feel this kind of feeling about them. And it's just so well animated. Like we've said before, no one does this better than Pixar because they pretty much invented how CGI movies now are made to the point that when they find a new obstacle when creating a story. They have to invent. They are the ones who have to invent new animation software to actually work it out.
Obviously, other studios have come along and have made their own animation softwares and techniques and all their other stuff.
But when it comes down to it, if Pixar hadn't done what they did with the original Toy Story, we would not have all the CGI would not be where it is right now.
Yeah. It moved to the. They bring it forward. They brought it forward. They brought the technology where it is. We look at the technology now. You look at certain stuff. It's like they actually went out. It's like, okay, they actually went out and shot stuff for this, right? That can't be fake.
But yeah, Onward is a perfect example. The animation in Onward is a perfect example of how far Pixar's come. With making something that isn't realistic in a way.
And it's kind of going to be interesting to see where Pixar goes next, because after Soul, we don't know. They don't have nothing lined up. They have a TV show. That's it for Disney Plus. That's it right now.
Pixar is in an interesting place now that they're making a bunch of shorts for Disney Plus, but they have no sequels planned.
There's
no Toy Story 5, no Incredibles 3, no Monsters Inc. sequels or anything like that.
They have a completely clean slate. I think they have movies on the schedule, but Pete Docter has stated that everything going forward is after Toy Story 4 is going to be original for at least a little while.
So we don't know what Pixar's doing, but I think But if we keep getting stuff the caliber of Onward and hopefully Soul, then I don't think we're going to be hurting for good Pixar material.
Yeah.
And overall, I think that's a testament to it all, because this movie was good. The characters are fun. The jokes are the jokes are great. The fact that the whole thing was basically a D&D campaign set in the modern day is great. It was fun. Epic. It was fun, epic, small at the right points.
It was small, epic and grandiose when it needed to be, but small and intimate when it was. But small and intimate when it would perfectly suited the film.
And yeah, that's pretty much sums it up. So yeah, I mean, go out and see it if you wanted to go see it. If you're a D&D fan, I highly recommend it, because you'll probably get way more references than we did.
It's definitely, go see it with your brother. Do it.
Yeah.
The two of you will ball in the theater.
And it's just like that. And yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're almost home, so be sure to like, subscribe. Don't forget to leave in the comments what you thought of Onward if you saw it. And be sure to tune in next time when we don't have a line for this. No, we do not. Bye.
Bye.